Hi, Islamic Dad here. If you enjoy this channel, please subscribe. It does help me out a lot. I'm going to do a video today on why I ultimately ended the relationship I had with the covert narcissist. I was with her for about 4 years, and as I've mentioned in the past, there are different experiences I had as I went through the different phases of the typical relationship with a narcissist. But one key thing for me that I wanted to share with you is about what kind of was, I don't know if you can even say the straw that broke the camel's back, as the single item that stood out so strongly from everything else that it was just ultimately too much for me to ignore. So through the last year of the relationship, things were bad. So I did not end the relationship because of her deception of always being on her phone and always kind of having very odd excuses for doing so, and for leaving the room, etc., that just never made any sense. I didn't end the relationship because the sex life had been really just kind of decimated, for lack of a better word. I didn't end the relationship because of the arguments and fights that we were having, and how loud and ultimately pointless they were. I didn't end the relationship because she was always canceling things at the last moment, and I didn't end the relationship because of all the things that we used to do together as a couple for fun. She just kind of stopped doing. No more going to concerts, no more going to clubs, no more going to the mountains, no more going camping. I didn't end the relationship because we didn't have clear plans for our future together. I didn't end the relationship because of how distant she grew, where we might only see each other once a week, whereas in the past we couldn't see each other enough. It wasn't because of how emotionally disconnected she was and how she felt like a stranger when I was around her. This emotionless husk that looked like someone that I used to know. The reason that I ultimately ended the relationship was the lack of consistency. I realized for myself that if it was going to be, any of the things that I just described, that if that was, the new normal, that would be something that I could address either for myself or in the relationship. But it was the fact that there was never even consistency with the bad things in the relationship. And that on Monday, she might be showering me with affection, being flirtatious, asking me to make plans. Here's one for you. I think about a week before I ended the relationship, she asked if we could look at engagement rings. And she sat me down and we looked at, wedding sets at our, favorite, jeweler, and just kind of talked about ideas of what ones we liked and which ones we didn't like. So imagine you have someone who is showering you with affection, with love, sending you, sexy messages during the day, sending you, funny memes, throughout the work day, who sits you down and has you pick out, engagement sets, and who, makes you dinner and is, rubbing your back for, an hour while the two of you watch, classic horror films or something. Imagine you have that person on Monday, and then on Tuesday, it's like they fell off the planet. They don't text you. They don't send you any sexy messages. They don't send you any memes. They don't send you anything. And when you reach out and say, hey, what about those plans we made for going to the concert this Friday? You don't get a reply for 5 hours. And then when you do, it's maybe 2 or 3 words. And you're left horribly confused because you don't, it's like, wait a minute, where's the person that I had yesterday? And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday might be the same. And then Friday, it's like the fire hose of love has been turned on and you're being showered with affection and stuff. And, the good times were amazing and the bad times were terrible. They were awful. And if it had stayed one or the other, I could wrap my head around it and figure out how to make things work. But ultimately for me, it was the complete chaos, the complete roller coaster, where literally every day at the end of the relationship, I would wake up in the morning at 7 a.m. when my alarm clock went off. And I would think, okay, which girlfriend am I going to get today? Am I going to get the one who can't get enough of me, who wants to talk about our wedding reception and our honeymoon? Or am I going to get the one who is a ghost, who is someone who has just evaporated for all intensive purposes? And the thing is, it's hell to live like that, not knowing which you're going to get day by day. And ultimately for me, it was the inconsistency that was more toxic than the fights, more toxic than the decimated sex life, more toxic than the deception, more toxic than the distance, the disconnect. It was more toxic than any of that by a mile. Is that day by day, I did not know what I was going to receive. And that is why on New Year's Eve, I said, enough's enough. I can't live like this any longer. And I will either, be happy in 2023 with my girlfriend, or I will be happy by myself. But I'm not doing that any longer. And needless to say, it was like an atomic bomb went off when I said that, and it did not end well at all. But it put a stop to things. And ultimately, the next day when I woke up, I was, single, but I was happy because it was calm for the first time in probably 12 to 18 months. I woke up, I knew where I stood, and I knew where she stood, and she stood out of my life. And so I knew what the rest of my day was going to look like, what the night was going to look like, what the week was going to look like. like the month, etc. It was heaven. Could finally relax and not worry about who I was going to get every day I woke up. So out of that experience, I am on a big lookout for red flags when I date now, and consistency is still number one. And so if I'm dating someone and their words and their actions don't align, I'm gone. Same thing. If they're happy-go-lucky and really want to spend time with me on one day, and the next day they act like they don't know who I am, I'm gone. For me, consistency is inconsistency is the largest red flag for me now when I date, because I will not repeat what happened to me for 4 years, with my narc. So hopefully this has been helpful. Thanks.